Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. We are on our first, normal episode of the spring 2024 season. We're locking in the shows that we're going to be watching. Thank God Dungeon Meshi is continuing the season. I'll say that. But, there's a couple good shows. I think some... my opinion has improved, and some maybe my opinion has not improved on, but we'll get into all that.
We gave them their chance.
Yes, we everything on this, everything that's made it to this stage, we have given a fair chance, to say the least. So we've watched the 3 or 4 episodes. So
we honor the old ways, the 3-episode rule.
Yes. So before we get started, let me just introduce everybody. I'm Jel. I'm joined by Aro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
Still with us. We're joined by G.
I'm here to apologize. I misspoke in our previous recording. I did not realize the harmful power that words can have. Last recording, I made the mistake of begrudgingly giving some props to Drake's diss track against Kendrick.
Yes.
At the time, I thought I would give Drake some props for playing the role of the villain in this masquerade. What I did not realize is that Drake is not playing the villain. He is an actual villain who must be stopped at all costs.
Yeah.
And so
you can just
I retract my props.
Like,
we recorded the last episode prior to the Tupac and Snoop AI.
The AI Tupac debacle.
Yeah. I
to
think
be fair, it's completely understandable because like Tupac's on a lot of stuff these days. So
oh yeah,
yeah.
They're finding new tracks from him every year.
Yeah. Gee, I think you and I already discussed separately. Rap beef is officially dead.
Yes.
It's not a thing anymore. Maybe if you're over 50, you're allowed to participate in the old ways. But rap beef is dead. It's done.
I mean, this feud was just that one Mario Party gif where Luigi wins by doing nothing. Kendrick won by just doing nothing and letting his opponents.
Did Kendrick even win? Did anybody win in this? I don't know. But
you bring a Mario Party, and that means that nobody wins.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the sentiment that has sort of taken place in the scene that is starting to speak of Kendrick in the ways of like a dark sorcerer, that you do not say his name out loud for fear of invoking him.
Uh-huh.
You know, he has become
when you say it out loud, you see the shadows in the corner of your eye extend another inch.
Yeah, I still don't even think he went that hard in the start of all of this. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But this is not a rap podcast. We need to move on.
No, I just had to correct the record. That's all.
Yes.
Is To Pimp a Butterfly the Scottish play of rap records?
Wait, what is...
I don't even know what that means anymore.
I don't understand.
You don't know what the Scotch play. I've got your back on half of the statement that you made.
All right, because I know the Pimp a Butterfly half of this statement.
None of us know both halves of that statement.
Other than the person who made it.
That's the best
Scotch play is Macbeth, and you're not supposed to say Macbeth while performing Macbeth.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Anyway, God, I don't even know what I was going to say now.
Best kind of jokes are the ones you have to explain, obviously.
I'll just throw in my other apology from last week, which I posted on Co-host, which you should follow us at GLORIO on Co-host. That is slowly becoming my like behind the scenes apology podcast correction account. But G, I mentioned I wanted to know when Arisu shows up in Blue Archive, and I meant to say Aru, and that is a very important distinction to make.
Very different waifus.
I have nothing against the robot railgun girl, but I meant Aru, so
yes,
just putting that out there.
I can say a thing or two about her this week. So.
Okay, we'll get to that.
I would like to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you are also with us, Zig, on this episode once again, so if
that's
you
what
need to
I'm
apologize, now's
for.
the time. Well, we are of
My
course
goodness.
always glad to have you back, Zig. So
Kicking off with a lie, good way to start a podcast.
As we all know,
I tried to
Ero's
say
the
that with
only
as straight a
one
faith as
without
possible.
sin.
Yes.
Not as far as you know. Just because I'm not dead yet doesn't mean I'm free of sin.
Iro hides it. Iro hides it better than any of us.
I must live on and bear the weight of everyone's sins.
Yeah.
See your stars.
All right. Let's talk about some anime. We still have quite a bit to talk about. Well, I don't know about next time, but let's start with something fun, light and easy.
Yeah.
This past week, or last weekend, the Spy Family Code White movie hit the U.S. theaters across the country.
Indeed.
And all of us U.S. based people currently on this podcast got to see it, and
yeah,
it was fun. I took my niece. We had a great time.
Mm-hmm. My local theater now has a great batting average for displaying the correct the playing these movies in the correct language. A great batting average of about 30%.
Yeah, I think 300. That's good.
Yeah,
that's a good
hey, look, that's
average.
Respectable for certain linemen. All right, like
yeah.
Okay, so
I thought it was kind of crazy that they actually felt they have enough people to split like showings between subs and dubs.
And it played in the like my movie theater has like a bunch of the smaller side theaters and then 4 of the like big main feature theaters, and it was in one of those.
Yeah, I mean, we could all get into like the weird discourse about like how this movie is not exact. I mean, my understanding is this movie's doing fine, but like
Spy Family's a big deal, but it's still like anime, right? Like it's
every anecdotal story I've heard is like, wow, theater was pretty empty when I saw this movie.
I mean, look, it's arguably as much a brand building exercise. I doubt that they're looking to make serious cash.
I mean,
I guess before we start, I have like one real question.
Okay.
Is Lloyd Forger the Kendrick Lamar of spy anime?
Oh wait, we can't keep doing this.
Can't do this.
How many more spy anime are there?
I mean, like, it depends how you structure a definition.
Is Golgo 13 a spy?
That's literally what I was about to say.
Spy adjacent.
I think there are a lot of spy anime that don't end up actually being spy anime, but
Also,
we can't mention
Daddy's spy adjacent.
We can't mention Golgo 13 without saying, needless to say, an amazing penis.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so I did find that interesting that they actually thought they had enough showings, and it ran like all week too. Like when I went to see,
not just like a weekend
I had a picking
thing
of showings. Yeah.
When I went to see Kaguya-sama, that was like, you have this one time on Valentine's Day to come see this movie.
This reminds me of when Dragon Ball Super Broly, or maybe it was Super Hero, aired in theaters, and like it got like a real ass theater run in the West, and it did quite well opening weekend.
It made decent money,
and then like
Dragon Ball.
It dropped off pretty fast because, and you had the like movie people on like the news being like, I guess this movie's not really doing very well considering how quickly it dropped off. And it's like, anybody who's going to see an anime movie in a theater is used to the one night only.
Yes,
I'm gonna drive 50 miles into fucking shitty downtown LA.
It's sort of what we've been trained by.
Yeah.
I mean, like, something like. Even, your like, Oscar-winning Godzilla -1s or whatever, right? Got like fairly limited showings until they extended the times, right? So it's like this is sort of just kind of comes part and parcel with our assumptions about how foreign media is presented in theaters, at least here in America.
I should point out that this thing was also released in the UK day and date. Like it was run at quite a few cinemas. Not obviously
like back in December.
No, when it came out in the US, so like
a few weeks ago,
yeah. Next time we have Peter on, we can talk to them because they went to see it. But yeah, so like there has been a big push in multiple territories for this. Put it that way.
Well, I think the thing I would say about Spy Family, right, is obviously it is a very big property. I ask people, I have friends who have like gone back to college, and they say that a lot of like their younger classmates are sporting Spy Family stickers and patches and stuff. So
I mean, my niece is into it, and I
right.
Took her
So
to
clearly,
see it.
it does.
So,
yeah, your
have
niece
an audience,
is a nerd, though.
Yeah, she is. But yes,
but I think the interesting thing, right, is I kind of brought this up, like with the friend I saw the movie with, like Spy Family almost feels like, especially the movie, almost feels like it is like a relic of like back when like this type of show would have aired on WB Kids on Saturday at like 9:30.
I mean,
and,
yeah,
like,
a little bit.
I think that is the era in which like Spy Family likely would have gone from not just a major shonen to like probably cultural titan of the zeitgeist.
Right.
I mean,
that kind of era of TV doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that Spy Family has going for it is that it's like it is conceivable as like a breakout broad appeal show, right? Like it doesn't fall into the cliched takes that people think of as anime. I think it has appeal beyond the fan base of people who would describe themselves as anime fans, and I think that's why you're seeing such a consistent push to like mainstream popularity for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should probably talk about the movie
the
itself.
Actual content of the film. Yeah.
I mean, they kind of hit the Spy Family greatest hits for the most part.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I would even maybe go as far as I feel like they almost kind of didn't. Like, I had a good time with the movie. Look, anytime, look, Yor does a lot of running in that movie.
She sure does.
And
very well animated running.
She looks very, very good while doing it. I thought this movie would be funnier.
Yeah.
Because here's the for those of us who have like watched like or have kept up with these Spy Family TV anime, it's like the format of the show kind of means you kind of have to do like a gag every like 2 to 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, like there is constantly a jokey kind of tone to the show, and some of this probably just suffers from the reality that we all have meta knowledge that this movie is not canon, right? This is an original story. But like when they're doing the whole, oh no, is the Forger family gonna break up? The drama. Yor doesn't know she has what it takes to be a fake wife / mother, and it's like,
right.
Oh, we know.
So that was like a I was kind of okay with it because it is such a joke that like
I mean that's kind of a joke in itself.
Like, oh no, is he cheating on me because he's wearing something different though we have been together for the past 24 hours? It's
that joke is fine. No,
okay,
those where her like comical misunderstandings are fine. It's more the like, oh, Operation Strix might come to an end. This might be the end of the Forger family, and it's like,
I
come on,
Superman 13 is the most powerful villain we've yet seen.
Yeah.
I think the writers know that we know that that's not even a possibility, right? Though, I felt like that's almost part of the entire joke, right? But I mean, with all in terms of this whole movie being like that's kind of almost the joke of the entire movie, right?
Right.
Of course, this is through whatever ridiculous circumstances that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think with all of this kind of movie, the key is to calibrate your expectations.
I would push. Sure. If you want to finish your thought first, Sig.
No, I was just going to say because to a certain extent, as you were saying, we know, and the writers know that we know that this can't really meaningfully affect the narrative going forward, so therefore you have to evaluate it in the as like an entertaining side project. How does this
and I guess
but I mean even if they pulled the what's Operation Strix is in danger in the TV shows, I still wouldn't believe that's actually in danger.
Well, true, that is I guess what I'm saying is like I had a good time with the movie, but I think I kind of went in expecting like a 2-hour version, like a 2-hour episode of the show, and I feel like I kind of got something more in the lines of like kind of straight to DVD like original film energy from it in places.
That was kind of what I was expecting.
To me, I felt like other than I think some of the action set pieces were a lot bigger and more drawn out than what you would see in the TV show. I still felt like the tone of the show was like what it normally would be. I mean, one of the one of the major plot points is like, if Anya poops, she dies. Like it's not that serious.
That sequence a little too long. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe the kids
whole
love
ass.
Shit, but
right. That was the bit where I was like, oh right, this isn't Shonen Jump. I mean, I guess it's on Jump Plus, but like, it's still kind of for kids. Right. Anya has her whole dream sequence where she is given a revelation by the god of poop.
Yes, it's pretty. Still pretty.
I was like, silly. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but
I mean, Studio Wood was having fun flexing their animation chops in those types of sequences, but there was definitely that part of me sitting there being like, no, I get the joke. I laughed like the first 3 times. Yeah. I'm good. But yeah, at the end of the day, yes, it is definitely, I think, as we've been said about Spy Family, in many ways, Code White is emblematic of Spy Family's strengths as a sort of all ages, all rounder appeal kind of show. It is the one, like, if you said, hey, pick a shonen currently published by Shueisha's publication, Weekly Shonen Jump / Jump Plus, to show to anybody, it's going to be Spy Family. Like, it is. It is the safest bet. I do love that. Obviously, so Lloyd's half of the story is Lloyd doing spy shit on the Zeppelin. And then for your Studio Wit just kind of threw their hands up in the air. We're like, I don't fucking know. She fights a cyborg, I guess. Like, because
she fights the new upcoming character in Honkai Star Rail Boot Hill.
Yeah, basically. I was actually thinking of that while watching that movie.
It's like, oh wait, that's the same character.
There's a robot man with like 13 ammo drums in his chest cavity. I was like, because like, here's the thing, I'm not spoiling the manga, but let me just be clear. The manga has not gestured that technology is possible in the setting.
Yeah.
The movie's just like, fuck it, like, how do we have your fight somebody in a way that feels believable? Because like, no normal flesh and blood human being would be a believable like obstacle for her.
That was not mid 20th century technology.
No, not quite.
Yeah, I will say, maybe my opinion of the movie is just higher because they made the smartest decision of all, which was to give Yuri only a very brief cameo before
that is true.
Locking him in a room so he doesn't appear in the rest of the movie. So that was a big plus for me.
Do they literally lock him in a room?
Pretty much.
Kinda.
Yeah, like, yes, literally in narrative. Like, he says, I'm gonna run over to where the family is, and his co-workers basically lock him in a room. It's like, no, you can't do that.
And then you basically don't see him for the rest of the movie, which is great. So, I mean, I think I get what you're saying, G. I don't know if I quite agree to the extent of whatever, but I still feel like it felt like a Spy Family movie, right?
Oh, totally,
like, we were getting all for the most part, the things you would expect to see in a Spy Family story, just kind of stretched out to, the big screen, I guess. So yeah, it was fun. We got the fancy limited edition drink cup and the popcorn bucket.
Nice.
I did not get the Iro, you got the art card, right?
Well, it's just cardstock. It's fucking
whatever.
I didn't get anything, man.
I didn't go. Well, I mean, I had to pay for the other stuff, but I think you will only get the art card like if you go on like the first day or something, but you ended up going on Saturday. But yeah, it was a good time. I hope we continue to get more anime movies in theaters. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
that next Jujutsu Kaisen movie has to be a rock, right?
Just not that one. Oh yeah, but I'm sure, yes.
Yeah, the big name stuff.
Jujutsu Kaisen being one of the biggest anime things at this point, yes.
I mean, look, they announced a new they announced a new My Hero Academia movie, and I mean, and I have seen all of them. I think if I were still in LA, we would probably see the new one too. We've seen all of them at this point. Like, it would be foolish to stop now.
More interested in the movies than the TV anime at this point.
Well, because the movies are where they lock up Utapon and the rest of the good Bones people.
Yeah. Yep. The TV show currently running again this season, and we have not talked about it, so
there is no need to.
Yes. All right. Well, that was fun. let's move on back to our regularly scheduled TV anime.
Well, speaking of shonen,
clean up leftovers from last season here.
Yeah, so I guess a bit of a correction, because I didn't realize last time Sengoku Youko will be continuing, but I did not realize it is not continuing this season. They are taking a break. But we did have one last episode that we didn't get to talk about, which I will admit I did not watch. So I will get to it. It's fine if you guys spoil away. It's fine. I don't really care enough. It's
kind of impossible to talk about it without spoiling it.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine.
So I mean, it's fine.
So
how was our season finale? I guess.
You're the person here who has no previous knowledge of the events of this episode.
I think my impression of the first season of Sengoku Youko is that they were kind of running out of steam as we got towards the end, which is why I was super surprised that this episode rules. It's great.
Yes.
Like, it's really good. I think my major issue with it is that a lot of it depends on, it's a big climactic moment with a lot of like character-based drama. It's meant to be very intense and emotional, and it mostly is. I think that if they had done a better job of endearing me to the characters and using the time they had to do more character work before this point, I think it would have been even more powerful. As it is, I think that it's great, and like a lot of stuff comes across, but it's not quite as heart-wrenching as I think they wanted from it.
It's definitely writing a very big check, and like, because I mean, I guess as the manga reader, Iro, you and I could probably speak to this. Is like, it's very obvious why they wanted to end the first cour here.
Yes.
Like every time we talked about the pacing, every time we talked about how like they kind of like really truncated the feeling of the journey, we always knew in the back of our heads, oh, they're cutting all this stuff out because they really, really want to get to that moment at the end of the first cour.
And this probably should have been episode 15 or 16.
Exactly. Like in an ideal world, we would have had like another 2 or 3 episodes of like, as Iro often coins the term, hang-outitude, right? Like the crew just hanging out, meeting weird yokai, endearing you to the cast. And
it definitely feels like that this show has not really had time for anything that is not directly progress related. Even just one episode of breathing space might have helped.
But I guess, I mean, look, I guess we're going to spoil it, right? But like we're talking about the final episode of what we've seen of Sengoku Youko so far, right? Which is like, I guess I kind of get it, right? Like the thing that's like so powerful about it is like it really does display in many ways Mizukami, the skills Mizukami has always had of taking very familiar archetypes and tropes and like playing them in like very fun, enjoyable ways.
I think as well it reminds me that he's really good at combining kind of your typical shonen flash, because there's a lot of audiovisual pyrotechnics here and they're mostly pretty damn good, but he's really good at holding on to the character stuff inside of those. Like the character drama here is compelling as the stuff that's happening in the fighting, and the two really well set each other up. The character beat sets up the fighting, like the shift in the fight, which sets up the next character beat and all of that stuff. It sounds simple, but it's really hard to do well.
Like the very like brief summation of it is basically, as we all know, Jinka, the misanthropic swordsman who has repeatedly expressed his desire to ascend to demonhood because of his like trauma-based distaste for humanity. Mizukami does the genius thing of Jinka gets his wish. He becomes a demon in this latest episode. He embraces the darkness inside of him. He takes the dark Majin power up, and the thing that Mizukami does kind of very simply is just, okay, you have it, and now you have to live with the consequences of it. And essentially, Jinka loses everything else he loves in the process. He loses his humanity. He loses Tama. He loses everything. He becomes a husk. A mindless
tired of
husk.
being nice? Don't you want to go ape shit?
Basically, and it kind of does the thing of like Jinka has talked a big game about how I'm going to leave my humanity behind, and now he gets it. and it leaves him.
Now he's like a danger to the world.
It reminded me of some of the best Incredible Hulk arcs here, where it's like, oh, Hulk got really angry, and turns out that's bad for everyone else, but also bad for him.
Yes, and it kind of sets up, at least based on your perception of things, that now Jinka is the new primary antagonist of the story. The rest of the characters are sort of. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's perhaps the thing which has me most excited about this episode, is that they have thoroughly destroyed the status quo and established a new status quo, and not many shows do that these days, at least not to this degree.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in many ways, the end of this first course in Sengoku Youko has very strong Vinland Saga end of the prologue energy, right? Like everything you knew of this story up to this point has been swept away.
Yes, it's like our heroes had their broad-minded goals of helping the world, and by now they have all collapsed and everything is worse.
They have arguably
because of their actions, right?
The world a worse place.
Yeah. Yes, it's like Tom, I talk big game about. We lament this barbaric age. You've just made this age even more barbaric.
And that we also now set up, at least you see the stinger of who will appear to be our new protagonist for the next leg of Sengoku Youko. And we can kind of leave it at that. But just here's the thing. As you said, Zig, it's such a strong note to end on. It's like, if you only had 13 episodes to work with, I completely understand why you would sacrifice so much to get here.
You would probably make this choice again. It's just that, I feel there's just that little bit of disconnection.
I do understand.
Something else they could have cut and stuck in some more, hanging out.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. It's because, again, the unfortunate reality is that unless you're a very, very big prestige anime, you don't get to really bend the rules of broadcast TV anime. You get this many episodes that run this long, and you kind of just have to make it work. And this happens a lot when you adapt material, right? When you're adapting a manga that was maybe not thinking about TV anime when it was being written. If the climax of the story would realistically require 15 to 16 episodes, what do you do when you only have 12?
Yeah, I think there are two key things here which I would have liked more of. I think, firstly, we've mostly kind of seen Jinka just being an asshole up to this point, is the thing. I think that if we had a little, and I'm not saying, we need to have him go all gooey, but I would have liked a little bit more, forgive the description, but humanizing from him. I don't think that we've had a chance to see the depth of his character yet, which means that the tragic part of this, although still tragic, is not quite as effective as it could have been. And the second thing is, there have been sort of some oblique hints that Tama and Jinko are actually romantic rather than just brother and sister, quote unquote, as they say. It still felt like this kind of came out of nowhere. I would have appreciated more time on them sort of exploring the fringes of that relationship before this sort of big anguished declaration of love. I still think it works. As I said, this is kind of just the story of the whole episode. I still think it works. I just think it could have worked so much better with just a little more grounding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will definitely have to watch that, obviously, before the next season starts. But
tune back in summer 2024 for Chapter 2 of Sengoku Youko.
Huzzah!
Yeah. It's like, it sounds like, to me, it sounds promising to me, because it sounds like maybe the payoff will be worth it, which is what I've been waiting for. So, we'll pick that up again in the
real
summer.
Sengoku Youko starts here.
Yes, I will say as well that the other thing which briefly shocked me about this episode is that there's a lot of violence in this episode, like kind of Fist of the North Star level violence at some point. And,
there was some pretty violent going on throughout.
Yeah,
the rest
look,
of
man,
the,
Shinsuke and what's his name, Larry or whatever. They're
Barry.
Barry. They really want each other dead, man.
Yeah, but he was a giant robot for most of that, and everybody knows that blowing up robots.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Killing people.
Yeah,
but yeah. There's a lot of. There's definitely some people exploding into clouds of gore in this bit.
Well, if you want to talk about surprising turns of violence in anime, maybe we can get to the next show on this list.
Yeah, or perhaps the real Dungeon Meshi starts now.
It really does.
Yes. Let's talk about Dungeon Meshi, Delicious in Dungeon, if you will.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about this in a bit. So just as a recap, the last few episodes have basically all been sort of a kind of long denouement, kind of the aftermath of fighting the dragon.
Yeah.
We have completed what the stated premise of the show is, and now we have to spend some time quickly building the groundwork for the rest of the series.
Right. It feels like they're regrouping, which I think is a pretty solid creative choice.
Like the first of the episodes since our last recording, if you guys remember, was focused on Kabru and his party, right? The oft misfortuned Kabru party, and kind of getting into their dynamics and kind of who they are, and kind of the reveal we get is that Kabru is maybe a functioning sociopath,
but not like the crazy serial killer kind.
No,
but just the bad kind. Yeah.
Well, maybe
it's the thing is we have Laios who doesn't really care about other human beings, but not out of any sort of malice or anything. He's just hyper fixated on his monster shit, and other people will fall by the wayside because he doesn't really understand other people. Kabru is keenly interested in other people, so he can build his social capital with them for his own purposes, and maybe those purposes are good, maybe they're bad, but Kabru will do anything to get in with somebody.
I would describe them as both on the spectrum at perhaps opposite ends. Let's say.
Laios is an autistic icon at this point.
The joke that is often made is that Laios is spec'd for PvE and Kabru is spec'd for PvP. And in many regards, that is Kabru's greatest mistake as an adventuring party fighting mostly monsters, is that as we see with that episode, Kabru is mostly used to fighting people, right? And he's very good at fighting people. But here's the thing, you are mostly fighting monsters in the dungeon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Picked humanoid as my preferred enemy, and
yes.
I thought this episode was kind of good, but it felt weird. It's definitely feels a little
shift
aimless.
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of works better as a chapter because it's like a chapter after the big dragon fight, and so you can kind of use it as a cooldown. But in anime form, where like it doesn't quite flows well, but it's mostly there to set up that Kabru then meets Shuro again. Shuro, who we have not seen in a while, who was originally a member of Laios' party before leaving after Fallen's death, and Shuro's shown up with his battle harem.
Before we get into
because he was dying of thirst.
Before we get into Shuro's party showing up, I do want to shout out, detached from the meat of these episodes, the very funny the Dryad and the I forget the other half of that episode.
Cockatrice, yes.
Yes, which was more of what we've previously seen with our main party.
Dungeon Meshi, back to basics.
And just some really funny bits in there. I think maybe the funniest to me was Senshi feeling he has to teach Chilchuck about the birds and the bees.
Yes, so good.
It's great because it gets into it's a great character building exercise because Senshi has always kind of been a bit of a plot device in this party, right? He's the cook, he knows monsters, and the great thing about this, you get a little interiority of Senshi's insecurities because he feels like he has to be the adult, but because he doesn't really know how old everybody else is.
I mean, I also think that in one sense you're right, but also it perfectly plays into the established character we already have for him, which is he is the ultimate square, right?
Yes.
He is naively well-meaning and just sort of completely divorced from reality.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things which makes it so funny, is that he is just ignoring all the evidence in front of his eyes because he has an idea and he won't let go of it.
Yeah, I think it was like that joke and the like calling back to like should we be eating the dryads when they look so much like people? And like, well,
don't worry,
we don't care anymore. They're plants,
like,
right?
I know, but it was funny because like they call back to the fishman question. Right? Well, fishman, that's a little cannibal-y, but dryads,
They're plants.
No, it's very good. I very much love the joke of like when they hand the gourd with the human face, with a hellet face on it to Marcel, and no matter what angle the camera is at, the gourd is looking directly at the camera.
Yeah, so like that, and like so I guess what I'm ultimately getting is like we don't fully lose our sense of humor through all this.
Definitely not. Not.
Like, even like as Shuro parties shows up and like Marcel's just randomly wearing the frog suit again. I don't know why.
God,
it's just like such good.
She thought they were going back up through the tentacles.
The overall tone is still light, for the most part.
Yeah,
which is kind of why it's shocking that Kabru just kills all those dudes, just like straight up.
Oh yeah, I mean, in many ways, it does. That is like almost intentional, right? To set up Kabru as someone who, again, not necessarily villainous, but someone who
he's not operating on the same set of ideals as our main party, right?
And you get the like push and pull with that too, because his party members, as he does that, are just like, that's Kabru, he'll just kill those people, whatever.
Right, I guess that's the other like interesting dynamic, right? Is that his party implicitly trusts him as their leader,
right?
Like,
but then you also get the bit later where Lin is like, so we're gonna go like right, and Kabru just gives her the death glare.
It's
like, oh right, this dude has killed many people.
There's a lot of good dynamics at play, and in many ways that's kind of what makes episodes in 16 and 17 really fun, right? Because this is where Shuro and Kabru run into Laios's party, right? In the middle of Laios eating a brick. Definitely normal thing to do.
Yeah.
And the fun thing is like now you get to have all these different moving parts interact with each other, right? It's
sort of a meme among manga readers that like if the story's getting slow, just introduce 10 to 20 new characters and it'll make something happen. But like the charm of Dungeon Meshi and Ryoko Kui as a writer is like, yes, it does shake up all the dynamics, but in ways that like are very identifiable and make sense, and you don't feel like it's a saving throw.
Right, like the great.
It's like, oh yeah, this all tracks. This is all fits to get clocks together, and it's great.
Like the great moment, the great like deciding moment in these like latest two episodes, right? Like in some regards, the linchpin that like this entire drama hinges on is Chilchuk has to make the snap decision which of his party members you need to wrangle as they split off.
Who's more dangerous if left alone? Yeah.
Yes, and Chilchuk makes the fatal error of accompanying Senshi instead of Laios.
Yeah.
And that is how this entire thing cascades, right? Because then Laios implicitly trusts Senshi. I mean not Senshi, Shuro. We get we get the great reveal here, right? That like Laios is not just like not good at reading people; he is fatally bad at reading people.
Yep.
And reveals to Shuro the truth of like how Fallen was resurrected by Marciel's dark magic,
and Shuro is like, "That's fucked up, dude."
Yes.
Well, it also shows like we haven't seen as the audience just how
serious it is. Like
how at least from like I don't know a societal or cultural standpoint, how like taboo and forbidden that is, right? Like
I mean, I don't know.
We were kind of we were
of blood and chanting.
I know that, but I mean,
like
we knew it was, but like to the extent of where Shuro, who is that disgusted,
he just immediately tries to throttle Laios, right?
Yeah. Like, so I think it helped us understand the extent of how freaked out people would be by that, which I don't think we fully understood until that happened. But yeah, and I just think it's interesting how each party leader and their party by extension sort of has a certain, I don't know, set of ideals and rules and things, and they don't quite mix as we see in these episodes, which is why they all end up going their separate ways, right?
Right, because like I mean, we haven't even talked about Shiro's battle harem, which I mean, I say that jokingly, but they kind of literally are, because the thing we find out here is that Shiro is some kind of landed gentry, right? Some sort of nobility. These are not his party members; these are his retainers, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's got the 2 ninja chicks, the third ninja chick. Shout out to Tade, the big Oni lady with the club. Tade is a treasure.
Yep.
He's got his butler / substitute mother.
Yeah, definitely some kind of mommy vibes there.
I'm not complaining.
But yeah, and I guess this all kind of culminates in like they're on the verge of like slitting each other's throats when we get the arrival of Fallen, bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, I gotta say I don't think I really saw that coming.
Okay,
at least not at this stage of the story. It was a bit of a surprise, but I think it was a great choice. Because I feel like with this type of story, especially how I felt after. Because I think I mentioned last time when we talked about it, I was a little disappointed how quickly Fallon just like they find her and then she's gone again, and it's back to chasing her again.
Right.
So I feel like, bring her back so soon,
in such a dramatic fashion, right?
A dramatic fashion. Like I don't want to keep dragging it out, right? And of course they haven't recovered her yet. They're still, but at least seeing her and like she's still kind of part of the story, right? Was a good choice.
Yeah,
and that was just a really intense scene too. Like people getting brutally murdered. These characters that we met and we're like, oh, they're cute or whatever, are getting brutally murdered. And like we know know they can be be resurrected.
Their heads are getting crushed. Like,
yeah, but like even knowing that they can be resurrected, you're like, oh, ooh,
yeah,
like when Fallen grabs Maizuru, the mommy maid, it just like slams her into the fucking floor, and you just see the blood go everywhere.
There's a great bit that was not quite in the manga because they're fighting off harpies before this, and it's portrayed as kind of casual. We're all having conversations, and just harpies are dropping left and right. Slamming to the ground because they're getting ninja.
They do the very good thing of the first time it happens. Everybody's surprised, and then they see the dead harpy. They look up and they see Shiro's ninja retainers are like easily dispatching of these harpies, right? And then as the rest of the scene continues, the conversation goes on. It's like you keep hearing bodies falling, and it intentionally wants you to get used to it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you were saying,
so then you get the heavier splat where it's just like the mangled corpse of one of the ninjas. You go, what?
Yeah, and then that's when you get the Chimera Fallen reveal, which I gotta say, I agree with Lyles. It's a great design. It's a great it's a great
so
like.
Cool.
I mean, it's a great like, oh, this like somebody came back wrong design. Like it's and she just fucking fucks up that party, man. Like they are,
dragons are powerful spellcasters.
Yeah, like Kabru's party just gets taken out like it's nothing. The ninja party, of course, shout outs to the bit where like Shiro's like, Tade, restrain her non-lethally, and Tade does not understand what that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout outs to let's see, what was it? I believe Akira Amamiya actually made an appearance on this episode. He animated the sequence with Kuro the dog.
Okay.
Sure.
When he's like going feral sicko on Chimera Fallen, that's Akira Amamiya cut.
I think there's a couple of cuts from Sushio himself in this.
Yeah, Sushio does the cut at the end.
I think, and during the episode, I was like, wow, what a great cut. That one bit, and it was the Sushio one. Which,
of course, it always is.
I was like, yes, of course.
But really good intense fight. Really shows that like even with 3 like powerful in their own ways parties, like in a conventional like slugfest with Chimera Fallen, it's It's not even close. You know?
Yeah.
Like they just barely survive the encounter. You know.
Yeah. And so we're kind of left with you know, our new
goal.
Our new goal.
The only way to save her is to defeat the Mad Sorcerer.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think maybe the thing that I appreciate the most is I feel like most other anime, when they make this kind of status quo shift, I guess, or anytime they kind of move into like a sort of like a broader scope, a bigger story or something like that, a lot of times it falls apart, like, and like, because you don't really care about like the main story, you care about the characters, right? And I will say, like, I'm still not like, I'm kind of indifferent on the like the whole living dungeon thing, but which is kind of now integral to the, you know, the plot of the story, but they don't introduce that in a way that it like dominates the plot, or at least like takes away from what you love about the show, I guess.
Right.
Whereas I feel like a lot of other anime, when they do accomplish their like initial goal, like, I don't know, there's probably plenty of examples I could think of, or when they try to expand the scope, or like the main story takes over, like, I don't know, To Your Eternity, for example, or something. I hated when we got into all that. You know, they kind of fall apart and they lose kind of whatever it is that you liked about the show in the first place. And I don't get that feeling from Dungeon Meshi at all moving into these episodes. Like, I feel like we've successfully expanded the scope of the show without like losing the, you know, I don't know, soul, for lack of a better term. Or, you know, it still feels like Dungeon Meshi.
Yeah, I think that they've done a really good job at like the evolution of their objective and the evolution of the direction of the show overall has felt really organic and natural, which is, you know, sometimes a little rare in anime and manga because it is such a heavily serialized format. But I think, you know, everything has flowed so smoothly. Everything, you know, the escalation feels a natural part of the developing narrative, and it's not just, you know, oh, suddenly new bad guy has appeared out of nowhere, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. It's a good show.
Great show.
I'm glad we have it this season. Yes. And I'm glad, you know, because you guys spoke so highly of it. I'm glad it's living up to the, you know, living up to its reputation. So, all right. Another show still going here, Ninja Kamui. Last time we talked, you guys didn't sound as positive about it. How are things looking these days?
It's kept sliding.
Yeah, it's like a slow descent, you know, like I wouldn't say like Ninja Kamui like went off a cliff as much as it's just lost the energy it had in the first few episodes.
Right.
Like, we don't even really need to get that too into it, but, you know, just the story has been continued to be like, you know, Higan's journey of revenge against the ninjas who killed his family. Again, literally the plot of Ninja Slayer.
Yep.
And it's kind of just still going, you know, obviously new characters have been introduced. He has fought, you know, the new villains like, you know, Big D.
The ultimate villain.
You know, like, some characters have died, and, you know, like they have they fake out killed the only named woman in the show, only to actually kill her 2 episodes later. It's very goofy. It's like the show realized, oh, we need to kill a woman to motivate the main character, but we only have one woman, so we're just gonna kill her twice.
Yep.
To motivate the characters.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, and even the spectacle has kind of been lost at this point.
Yeah.
You know, the most notable fight has been Higan fights his Sasuke, who, like, you know, it turns out that Ninja Kamui also exists in the world where ninjas operate in trios. Yep. And, you know, you had the Naruto, the Sakura, and the Sasuke, and, you know, Naruto and Sakura ran off to get married to a kid, and Sasuke was left behind, and he felt betrayed and hurt by this, and now they're gonna fight it out, you know, never an enemy, always a brother, etc., you know. But it's like, so they're like, you know, so as we know, these are high-powered, super mega killbot ninjas. Again, Higan killed like 87 ninjas with like a single sword swipe in episode 1. You know, like, you know how absurdly powerful these guys are?
Yeah.
Like, they punch each other so hard their ninja power armor flies off, like, crumbles to pieces from sheer impact of it. And then they kind of fight in this, like, very obviously, like
rotoscoped,
choreographed way, like very like kind of live action Toku inspired like fight choreography that like feels very like just kind of sluggish and not impactful in animation form, right?
Right. This is like the thing is that I feel like I come to Sunghoo Park shows because he can do this very dynamic, like exaggerated anime fighting that I enjoy a lot, where everyone's kind of superhuman, and there was plenty of that in the first like 2 or 3 episodes, where like we're killing dozens of ninjas by leaping and flipping around, and so you have this extremely noted plot important fight between 2 fated rivals or whatever, and it is clearly two guys fighting each other.
2 like regular guys.
Yeah, like they are moving like normal people. Like very, very, very obviously for like rotoscoped, which is fine. Rotoscoping is a tool like any other.
It's a stylistic choice. And like
but it's like it's not what I want out of this director, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes the characters feel less powerful than they were at the start of the show.
I mean, the advantage of rotoscoping is that your characters look realistically human, but the disadvantage of rotoscoping is that your characters are realistically human.
Right, like, it's like, you're telling me that this is the same guy that, like, when he was ambushed by, like, 16 ninjas on a hospital rooftop while in a wheelchair, like, contorted his bones in 17 different angles and, like, killed every ninja, like, in half a second, is now like struggling to like grapple a guy on the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't really fit. Yeah, it feels weak, you know, and in some regards, that kind of sums up how Ninja Kamui has felt, you know, especially these last few episodes. You know, like there's like one bit in like the latest episode that kind of brings back some of that goofy like Ninja Slayer adjacent energy.
Oh, that's right.
But it's like it's kind of flash and pan. You know, it's like it's there for like a minute and then it's gone again, you know. And you know, obviously some of this is probably like the reality of like production, right? Budget and time. Like anime tends to look at its best in its first and last episodes. We all know this to be true, but but I feel like even during the like weaker episodes of Garo Vanishing Line, Sunghoo Park could always at least keep the energy of that story intact, even if like the action was starting to fall off. Like Sword was still a big, like, you know, lovable galoot of a man, you know, like punching bullets and eating like 18 steaks for breakfast. Like you still had the appeal of the characters, but the problem is that like none of Ninja Kamui's characters are appealing. Like we watched this show because Ninja Kamui was a fun bludgeon to beat the narrative to death with.
I mean, how'd you put it? Like the closer this show is, the closer any plot point in the show is to just being a Ninja Slayer bit, like the better the show is.
Yes.
So when it's as it's trying to take it so more seriously, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah. Well, so, like, I don't know. I wouldn't call this a, like, I don't know, an Appara Ranman or high card level disaster, but it does seem like Ninja Kamui at best is going to, like, coast towards, like, I don't know, mediocrity, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, that's almost more damning, quite frankly.
We'll see. There's one more episode left, so maybe Sunghoo Park brings out the Sunghoo Park.
Okay, one last thing on Ninja Kamui. There's a video. It's getting a video game tie-in.
Oh my god!
Shovelware video game tie-in, and so because the show airs on Adult Swim, Tonari had their little like game corner segment about the Ninja Kamui video game. And the funniest thing about this whole thing is they say it's a 2D side scroller with a Rolling Thunder vibe. And then Tom, voiced by Steve Bloom, says, "Oh yeah, Rolling Thunder, that's a classic." That is the funniest shit I've seen on a TV spot for a video game. Who is watching Tonari? Like, who knows what Rolling Thunder is?
Yeah, I mean, does anybody Do you guys even remember Rolling Thunder?
No.
I don't remember Rolling Thunder. I'm vaguely aware of Rolling Thunder.
Have you
an arcade game that came out before I was born.
I'm 43 years old, and I was like 5 or something when that came out. Like,
have you ever seen ad copy so obviously written by an old man?
Yeah.
That's
all right, guys. I'm sorry. I write for Tonami now.
Oh shit! You've been writing.
I've been working for their advertising.
I didn't realize you were such a big fan of Rolling Thunder.
Oh my god! It's so. Also, here's the next best part. So Ninja Kamui is getting this shovelware piece of garbage 2D scrolling beat 'em up game, right? Uh-huh. Do you know what is apparently also getting a shovelware 2D scrolling beat 'em up game this year?
Everything.
That's right, Ninja Slayer.
Oh, see, that I would be disappointed if that wasn't a shovelware.
It's just the timing could not be better.
So funny.
That's very good.
Just Rolling Thunder, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Man, look. You know,
Rolling Thunder. It's anyway.
If Steve Blum has to say the words Rolling Thunder out loud to pay the bills,
I'm glad he's still
more
getting
power
God
to
bless
him.
Yeah.
Still cashing that check. Good for him.
Damn straight.
All right. So I guess we'll finish that next time.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's move on to the new shows. Well, newish, I suppose. Uh-huh. And let's talk about Sound Euphonium Season 3.
Is it giving you Rolling Thunder vibes?
No, but it's fine.
I did forget to ask a very important question when we talked about it last time.
Okay.
Are there still long, loving shots of girls' legs?
All right, thighs Euphonium.
Okay, so look. I have watched so much anime that my brain is immune to a lot of that now.
A likely story.
So I don't think so, but I also really didn't pick up much up on it the first time around either. So like it just didn't even register in my brain. So perhaps I'm not the best person to say so, but I have not noticed it very much in Season 3.
Truly, Naoko Yamada is no longer on the production.
Yeah, perhaps not. Okay, so we're like 4 episodes in now, and even still, I am regretting not watching the movie prior to Season 3, because there are characters that are important to what's happening, and I am like, I have no idea who these people are. So I did not have time to watch the movie. I started skimming through it real quick to check some things, and I will have some things to say about that perhaps next time. But I'm going to try and watch the movie before I watch more at this point, because I feel like I'm missing just chunks of stuff right now. That said, I mean, it seems like they're kind of back to business as usual. It's band drama. Just now there's new characters. We've remixed the cast, and so like, you know, if anybody hasn't seen Sound Euphonium, basically a lot of the drama is based on like the beginning of every school year, the band votes. Do they want to? What was that old Smash Brothers thing? Do you want to play for fun or for glory? Basically, they vote. Do you want to? Does everybody want to just have fun? And you know, we'll play the, you know, everybody will get equal playing time. You know, we'll just do whatever. You can come and go whenever. Or do you want to go for
try
nationals?
hard this shit?
Yeah. And do you want to go for nationals? We're going to, you know, win the big national competition. But that will, of course, mean you're going to have to really work hard and make sacrifices to make this happen. And, of course, everyone's like, yeah, we want to go to nationals until it's,
That's
you know...
the least realistic thing that has ever been in a TV show.
Well, they say that until... Because they actually are a school band with, like, some reputation for being good,
sure,
right? They're not just, like, whoever. So... everybody's like, yeah, let's go for nationals. And until, you know, it's their turn to be, you know, have their seat taken by somebody better than them. Right. And that stirs up the band drama. And that's kind of the general, like, main source of tension in Sound Euphonium. So they do that again. And I guess the difference this time is, you know, the main girl, Kumiko, who was previously more of an observer and sometimes participant in the band drama, is now the band president. And has to, you know, clean up everybody's messes now, even though she doesn't want to. And it's pretty good from that aspect. I will say, I think they've done a good job of having her character, like, mature as a person without like totally losing her personality. So like she has like the emotional maturity to deal with these people's drama, but also when she's done, she's like really like just fed up with everyone's nonsense. like I really don't want to be doing this.
That's how it is.
Yep, and it's like, okay, yep, that's pretty good. So they've been doing a good job of that. These first 4 episodes have kind of just been, let's pick a random new kid in the band and deal with whatever their problem is. So like the latest one was like, you know, this kid whose like sister died, and his grandfather wants him to go, who runs a band at another school, wants him to go join over there, but he doesn't want to, and you know, they have to clean up that whole mess. And it's just, you know, I think they're in their sort of like one-off episode phase before they're going to get into the more dramatic stuff. So yeah, it's pretty solid start. You know, again, as is usually my opinion with these things, it's like I don't feel like this needs to exist, but you know, what's there has been pretty solid. And I think next time I should have more time to actually try to watch the movie and have some more things to say about it. But so far, it's a pretty solid start.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are still watching the Bartender Show. Is that correct? Or you watched more since we've last spoken
Sure,
about it?
yes. I don't know that we are still continuing to watch the Bartender Show.
I do not. Yeah, I don't think we're going to keep up with this one. I think everything we said about it last week still holds true, right? Like,
I did go and I read some of the manga.
Okay.
And weirdly enough, this current one, seems to be mostly adapting the manga, but also keeping some things from the first anime. So I read some of the manga, and like Bar Eden Hall has not appeared at all. He's just a temp. He's just a temp at that other place, like all the time. So I wonder. I assume later on he goes to Bar Eden Hall and becomes the bartender there. And
maybe
so,
that's
like,
what it is. Yeah.
I assume so. I don't know for sure. And so I'm like, okay, this bar was like an iconic part of the first anime because the first anime pursued this sort of, as you said, like liminal space, like a legendary bar, closed off dimension feeling. And I guess the iconography of Bar Eden Hall was noted enough that they decided to keep it. But I don't know.
That's always a fascinating thing about adaptations, because, or not just adaptations, but any work that lasts long enough, right? Is like many of the things that like are iconic about a work were not always there from the start, right?
Yeah.
Like, or took time to like get there, right? Like, you know, the famous examples like Berserk is not the iconic seinen that we know it for until the Golden Age arc. You know,
and even arguably to like halfway through the Golden Age arc. Like,
yes, totally. So like, it's kind of it almost doesn't surprise me then to find out that many of the things that we assume come part and parcel with Bartender's identity may not have been there from the start, right? You know, manga is an evolving medium.
Yeah, I do also wonder if this is a case of we're trying to appeal to like both the people who want a faithful adaptation, but also the fans of the old show, and as a result, they've just kind of not been able to harness the strength of either. You know, they're kind of a divided creative intent, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some aspect of that as well. But yeah, I mean, you know, honestly, I don't like the tone, the vibes. They're just not there. Like I even though I'm now at the age where I could probably better appreciate the drinking minutiae they get into.
Yes, you know, I suppose to this show's credit, it did make me go and pick up a ball of Campari so I could make an old pal.
Well, tell you what, then I guess the marketing worked.
I guess it did.
Yeah.
You know,
damn, got me again.
So, I guess it's like you guys had your criticisms of it last time, and they're not showing any signs of that changing, right? So
no, I don't think so.
All right. Well, R.I.P. Bartender. We'll still have the original, I suppose.
Yeah. I might read more of the manga. We'll see. Just to stave off the hounds.
Okay. let's talk about Girls Band Cry. G, did you watch more of this?
Yeah, I'm up to date on this one.
All right. So I only had time to watch episode 1.
Okay.
And so I am only projecting here, but you tell me, is this actually the best new show of the season?
Oh, that's a pretty loaded question.
Wow.
You're locked in.
Whoa.
I was, I'll tell you what, Joe. I kept it pretty even keeled last time because I was not going to be out here to say that this fucking Unreal Engine demo ass looking show was a contender. But
and granted, the bar is not super high. Like my only other and I'm not counting Dungeon Meshi because that's continuing. I'm saying new shows. Right. My only other contender is like Tonari no Yokai-san. Basically,
yeah. But
so it's not a huge bar to clear here. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I think if you liked episode 1, then like you're in a good place because I think episode 1 does a pretty good job of setting up. Even though there's only 2 members of this eponymous band assembled at that point, it gives you a good flavor of like kind of what the thrust of the character arcs are. The characterization is going to be in this story because I can confidently say 4 episodes in, these girls still got problems.
Okay. Yep.
And they're not very good at working them out, but they are trying.
Yep.
And therefore you are still interested.
Yeah. So I will just say a couple just general observations from episodes, just watching the first episode, which I'm assuming will apply for the show as a whole here. But having now watched both this and the first episode of the Jellyfish show, yes, there are huge similarities, and this is so much better. And again, I wish whoever was making the Jellyfish show was making this show.
Could have maybe switched budgets.
Although, you know what though. Maybe this is not a popular opinion, but I actually really love the CG animation of the characters. It's not bad. The surround, like they have a ton of personality. There was like one scene in the beginning or in the first episode where the main girl gets like really mad and they're like at the guitar player girl's apartment. And she like grabs a stool and puts on her head and like carries it across the room, and it's like very like cartoony, like just full of like personality. And I'm like,
it's very expressive. Like the thing I would definitely emphasize is that like this is closer on the spectrum to Orange than like Polygon Pictures.
Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised at how much like it's just like personality and charm were in the characters. It's all the like things bought from the asset store that they're like sitting on and stuff like that. They're like,
yeah.
I don't know about that.
No, it's that thing of like, again, it's I mean, I'm saying I'm watching episode 4 of this like just today, and like other than like occasionally noticing, oh yeah, the characters move really smoothly, like it doesn't actively impair my ability to enjoy the story, I guess is what I would say. Like
I wouldn't say it's better, but like they're really making as good use of it as they can, I think.
I would definitely say so, and especially with Nina, I think that like she's such an expressive character, and like you can tell that clearly the lion's share of the work was put into her rig or model, the way she like gesticulates and animates, and definitely, I can't believe I'm saying this about a CG anime, but she could definitely be the like haha funny faces character of this season, I think.
Yeah. Well, if Marcel wasn't here,
that's true. That is true.
But yes. So yeah, I'm actually, I don't have really much like I mean that's kind of what you were saying last time, I guess, but I'm kind of backing that up as well. Like I kind of like what they've done with it, if that's what you have to work with. It just is a little weird, like when they go photorealistic with some stuff, like even their guitars and whatnot.
Yeah,
she's like carrying like this like 3D rendered, fully shaded guitar model that there's like I guess on the note of the guitar, also shout out to them for having is it name Momoka, the
Momoka,
blonde girl? Yeah. Having her play a jazz master, which is it's not a rare guitar by any means, but it's like the 3rd most popular Fender guitar.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not one of the things you immediately think of when you think guitar. Or
usually if it's going to be a Fender, it's going to be a Stratocaster or a Telecaster, and and it's like Jazz Master's like distant third. But
I feel like already the Stratocaster to Telecaster ratio is like 10-1 in fact.
Stratocaster's like the number one, and then like Telecaster's a fairly distant second, and then Jazz Master's like an even more distant third. But yes,
as somebody who does not watch these kinds of shows usually, and also has poor knowledge of music and its workings, I always appreciate how you are here to talk about the minutia of different models of guitar, you know.
And I think and maybe this is an advantage of being animated CG. I didn't really go too into it. I think her actual like chord positions when she's playing were accurate. But
like
I could
her
believe
finger.
that,
you ask me model guitars, and I say what Yui had a Les Paul.
Yes.
Yes.
Haruko Hanaharu had a left-handed Rickenbacker bass.
Yes, which actually is a rare.
And that's guitar. All I got.
Yeah. No, but, I'm glad you're watching this show now, Jill, because this shit has always flown over my head. I guess, does Momoko owning a Jazz Master, does that either signify that she's a real one, or that she is too poor to afford a better guitar?
I mean, a Jazz Master is still an extremely expensive guitar.
Yeah, I mean, it's still as expensive as...
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
okay.
like the Strat or a Telecaster, like, there are cheap ones. Well, I'll say cheaper ones,
sure,
and more expensive ones.
If it is a name brand Fender, then it is probably at least $2,000.
It depends. Like if you get like we can't get.
Well,
into this,
if
you get like the Mexican made Fender ones, they're like $800 or something like that.
Hold on, let me pull up my friend Drake.
I think Momoko does explain in episode 1 that she used to be part of a much more popular band. Right?
Yes, so she probably does have a legit.
With her,
and it is a non-standard color, so she might have had to pay more money for it. But
she hand sprayed it.
Whoa!
No, but I think and again, I think comparing again to the Jellyfish show, what I like about this is there's so much. This is so much more like charming. I wouldn't say their dialogue is realistic per se, but they feel more like real people with real emotions than, what I was saying with the Jellyfish show, where that just felt like, a show for men written by men trying to write what teenage girls sound like. And this feels so much more natural and more charming, and while covering essentially the same themes.
Yeah, I would say that at least like with the characters they revealed so far, it's like just like even just Nina and Momoko's like dynamic early on, like it's like you can almost exactly like the types of backgrounds these two people came from, right? Like that leads them to who they are, right? Like Momoko is clearly much better at keeping it together. She's the more mature one, but also you can feel that like, she's not even that old. She's like 22 or 3 or something. But
they say she's 20.
already wasted her whole life.
Yeah. Wait, but like, is she not even? What did?
Yeah, they say she's in the first episode. She says, "I'm 20." Yeah.
Oh, only Jesus Christ.
Her whole life's already gone. She might as well pack it up now.
Man, that's even younger. But like, she has that like sort of like. She has a very specific type of detachment that feels like it comes from like lived experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like she's not cynical, but it's more like the vibe she gives off is like, look, I have like seen and like experienced some shit, right? Like I don't have the time or energy to gesticulate like Nina does, And then when they introduce the third character, Subaru, who's their drummer, I'll just speak briefly on the 4th episode, which I've watched, which. I feel like they're going to do the thing of like, okay, who has mental problems this week, kind of format. But they kind of get into Subaru's deal and how like, she is definitely the most like conventionally like, girly girl, mainstream kind of presenting of the 3, but like kind of gets into like her own like situation and her own like familial expectations. They kind of reveal that like, oh, she's currently going to acting school because her grandma was some like really famous Showa era like film actress.
Sure.
And like how like she's kind of feeling pressure to become an actress as well. And like the thing I actually kind of appreciate about this is that they don't portray like the grandma as like this evil, domineering, like you must become an actress or else like kind of feeling.
It's just the societal expectations, right? Like,
yeah, it's more like she's like, well, it's actually kind of even works. It hit me in a very specific way because like Nina and Momoko get a chance to talk with Subaru's grandmother, and Subaru's grandma basically says like, when I asked if like, she basically says my daughter, Subaru's mother, always hated that I was an actress. She wanted nothing to do with it. You know, like she tried to do everything in her power to distance herself from my career. And so when my grandchild like expressed an interest in acting as a kid, how could I not like try to engender that spark? And you know, kind of get to like Subaru's like, yeah, I said that when I was like a kid, you know, and like the difficulty of like, it's not that she hates it, but like, you know, it's not her thing, but also, you know, it makes her grandma happy, and her grandma's not like an abusive shithead. She just wants to share something she loves with her grandkids, and it's like,
yeah, it's like an understandable.
It's way more,
like an understandable,
way more
relatable,
subtle and relatable, than
like,
you will be then you will be young me.
I mean, you could insert you could insert like anything for acting in there, right? Like just the
exactly, right? It's just any like. You know, it kind of just gets like, you know, it's like
the tendency for parents and whatnot to sort of try and have their children experience the same things they experienced.
Right. You know, and like at least here it is presented as not coming from necessarily malice, just a sort of like misread of her granddaughter's like true passions and interests. Yeah, and it worked. It worked really well. I was like, wow, there's like some kind of nuance to it, and of course it still plays into like Nina's like comical / depressing mental illness, because she spends the first half of this episode being like, Subaru, you gotta tell her the truth, like you gotta be real with her, like you gotta rip this band-aid off, and Subaru's like, oh my god, can you please shut up? All right, fine. I'll build up the courage to tell her the truth. And then just as she's about to tell the truth, Nina was told this story, you know, and Subaru's walking over, steeled herself ready to tell her grandma about her acting, and Nina's like, wait, don't, I changed my mind. And Subaru was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You spent the first half of this episode bothering me every day about this.
Yeah.
And Nina's like, I don't know what's wrong with me, just trust me on this.
That's so good.
So it's the dynamic works. It's like they're kind of, you know, I mean, they're acerbic in a way that like not overly. It's not like they're not like mean to each other, but like they clearly like, you know, they're not just instant best friends, right? They butt heads against each other in like some like legitimately fun and relatable ways. Yeah.
I just again, I think charming is the word I keep coming to, where I really enjoyed that first episode. And yeah, I mean, that's cool if it keeps up. So I just wish I didn't have to fly to Japan every time I needed to watch it.
I know, right? It's
gonna get real. It's gonna get real expensive.
Yeah,
but I'll try to catch a couple more episodes in a row this time, but to catch up. But yeah. All right. Let's talk about Astro Note. Are you guys done with this? Because I think I might be.
Yeah.
The last episode had like
some
a
good stuff,
little bit of the Kimiko Ueno energy we wanted. Like once the car chase happened and she just took out the bazooka and like shot down that bird, and then that bird started fist fighting the main character.
You guys didn't watch episode 4.
No. So we watched episode 3. We had some fun at the end of episode 3, and then we sort of decided the ratio that we have observed thus far of the stuff we're enjoying, the stuff we're not particularly enjoying, is too lopsided.
Well, I can tell you that episode 4 was worse than episode 3, so you've made the right decision.
Man. Well,
yeah, this is just really sad. I feel like everything, all like the promise and like, I guess, you know, personality and charm of the first episode that I liked is just not there, or at least not there enough, like you guys were saying.
I guess I am curious. Mm-hmm. What's the deal with the Sadako lady? Is she just like a squatter? Like, is she just like, is the joke just she's somebody? Is the joke that she's just like living in the attic or something?
She's
and
just a freeloader, yeah.
A freeloader?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's what I figured.
There is a... It's so dumb. There is a room that nobody, including the main lady, knew existed. The old man knew, but he didn't tell anybody.
Of course.
And it was like blocked by boxes and stuff because she doesn't like to be around people. And she had been sneaking out and grabbing the food. And the only twist, which actually makes things worse, is at the end they reveal that she used to be a waitress where the main guy used to work, but he didn't recognize her because she's got like the hair in her face and everything.
Now there's a love rival for the girl.
Yes.
Is this just like the grown-up version of the childhood friend, basically?
Yeah, basically his previous workmate, and she is...
You used to... I love you from work, senpai.
And kind of like the post-credit scenes implies she is unhealthily obsessed with him because like he starts leaving like the extra food out specifically for her rather than her just taking the unemployed guy's food. And
yeah.
And like she like takes the food and she like takes the tag that he hand wrote on and like starts like sniffing it. It's very uncomfortable.
Okay. Boy, we're doing this.
So she's going to be like, yeah, I think she's going to be like these obsessive sort of,
Well, shout outs to that joke at episode 3 where they introduce like the guy who introduces himself as a Mira's like childhood friend, fiance, whatever, right? And like everybody's like, he's rich and dresses like a dipshit. He must be from the UK.
Wow.
Yes, that was very funny.
I object to that on the grounds that nobody in the UK has enough charisma to dress like a dipshit. We're just rich and
although
here.
I think it's supposed to be funny, but I just find it annoying that like this dude is like dressed like some sort of space prince and drives a flying car and no one questions this.
Yeah.
Like everyone's go, wow, British technology must be amazing or something.
I could forgive that if everything else was like firing on all cylinders and funny and everything, and it would fit the vibe more. And it's just not. It's just like the most basic.
It is, yeah.
Rom-com misunderstanding type of thing. The characters all suck. The ones that have any kind of interesting personality are on screen for like less than a minute per episode or something, and just the new characters have added nothing. And I'm very disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah,
so.
sorry, Kimiko Ueno.
Hey,
maybe next time.
You need good directors and whatnot. Also,
is it the directing on the?
I don't know, man.
Nobody can hit 100% of the time.
Yeah, I feel like the core fundamental rating is my biggest problem with Astro Note. So I don't know, but
I don't know.
It's just sad.
Maybe she performs best as a ringer of come in and deal with these existing dynamics.
She should have just picked a better story to write, honestly.
Dungeon Meshi.
Okay, I mean, joking aside, I do feel like it was a conscious decision to make a show that is like paying homage to Meisani Koku and other shows like that, and to a fault where they're basically just recreating it. Or recreating the jokes and everything, and it's bringing nothing else to the table. And unless you would like that kind of thing, there's just nothing going on here. So let's just sadly move on. We actually didn't. I think I forgot to put this on the first impressions post or something, but we didn't.
Had a bizarre release schedule. So.
Yeah, it was kind of existing in its own space, but we have not talked about Sandland yet. I have not had a chance.
Toriyama's Sandland.
Yes.
Yeah, it is an animated adaptation of that one Akira Toriyama story where he just wanted to draw an old man with a tank. And that is indeed what Sandland.
The tank.
Yes, that is indeed what Sandland is about. I mean, realistically, right? I mean, okay. I made the executive decision. I was like, all right, rest in peace, Toriyama, one of the greatest to ever do it. if my goodwill for Toriyama is going to extend long enough for me to watch one Toriyama thing to completion this year, and my options are either Sandland, which I think is going to end in like a season, or Dragon Ball Daima, a thing we may be saddled with for the next decade plus, I'm gonna pick the shorter one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Sandland, there's honestly not much to say. It's inoffensive, it's fun, it has that Toriyama sensibility to it. The characters are Toriyama people. The villain is a decrepit old man in a Frieza egg.
Yep.
It's the main character, Beelzebub, is a little guy who's a bit of a rascal, but also does the right thing when it comes down to it. It's,
Uh-huh.
I mean, post Dragon Ball, Toriyama's thing was kind of just writing charming trifles, right? That's all.
Yeah,
we really
and
wanted to do.
that's kind of what Sandland is. There's bits and pieces here where it's like, I would not even go as far as say Toriyama's trying to say something, but there's bits and pieces of drama here, right? They reveal that the other main character, Sheriff Rao, who is the old man who has teamed up with Beelzebub to find the missing the king's hidden supply of water. The reveals that he was a general in the king's army back in the day, and that he was fed false information about a group of peaceful, pacifistic water scientists who he then genocided.
Yep. And they're all just like orb-shaped Toriyama aliens, right? Like,
yeah,
who among us has not committed a genocide on false information?
Well,
you joke, but that is kind of basically what his two demon buddies say to him. They're like, "Look, man, you didn't know."
Yeah, like no big deal.
Their literal operating logic is, you wouldn't have done it if you had known, right? So it's kind of like you didn't do it because you didn't know.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, dude.
I mean,
Toriyama definitely has a long history of extremely circuitous logic.
Yeah,
Toriyama is tackling the "I was just following orders" defense here on Sandland.
It's they're again, we're way behind. There's 12 episodes out. We watched episode 3 or something, but every episode they get accosted by either the king's soldiers or weird Mad Max, goofy bandits of the week, right? It's that kind of story. It's totally fine.
I feel like I would enjoy looking at artwork of the cool vehicles from this more than actually watching the show. But
I mean,
if you want that, then you can purchase Bandai Namco's new release, Sandland, the video game.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Also, Joe,
an action RPG where you become the main character, Beelzebub, the Fiend Prince.
Are we getting paid for this?
Dude, I wish.
Yeah.
Hey, if someone wants
to
get paid, send me a copy.
No, we are definitely not getting paid, and
Bamco, send us some review codes for Sandland.
Not keeping all the money for myself and not
fuck
paying
that. Send us money.
Bandai Namco, look.
Bandai Namco, send us an early build of Ace Combat 8.
I'll give that game a 10 out of 10 because it lets you pilot Bulma's bike. All right,
sure.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing. There's a non-0% chance I actually buy that game when it's on deep discount because it just seems to be a Toriyama vehicle simulator. The footage shows that you can drive Bulma's bike, you can pilot a bunch of the weird-ass red ribbon robots that appeared in the original Dragon Ball.
Okay.
There's 6 different weird-ass bubble-shaped Jeeps you can drive in that game, and it's man, I mean, this game doesn't look that good, but...
I will just note that while I have not been paid by Bandai Namco, I have taken advantage of an open bar funded by Bandai Namco, so I guess that's basically the same thing.
Bandai Namco, just send us some early codes for the Elden Ring DLC.
Oh, that's coming out in a month anyway, right?
We won't tell anyone, we promise.
Yeah. All right.
Let us choose who goes in the next Super Robot Wars, then all will be forgiven.
Do you have somebody specifically you want, just off the top of your head right now?
Granbelm.
Granbelm, yeah, Granbelm.
The shrimp made from Precure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granbelm.
Yeah. They deserve it.
Dynazenon, Bravern.
Dynazenon's a lock. Here's the thing.
I know, you're right.
This is why I suggest Granbelm, because Granbelm will never get in without external pressure.
They'll put in Granbelm and Wataru, right? Like,
yeah.
Has Wataru ever been in Super Hero Wars?
Yes, it has. It was
okay.
A couple
in a mainline one, not the phone one.
Yes, in a mainline one. It was in a mainline one a few years.
I know they put Gunhead in the phone one. And
hell yeah!
This is a can Gunhead. This is a can I should have not opened this late in the podcast.
Speaking of Gunhead, Tonari. Unrelated whatsoever.
Maybe a car head. Tonari no Youkai-san.
Oh shit! Yeah, good. Nicely done, Jill.
Yes.
Car head. Vegas XLR.
Yeah. So Tonari no Youkai-san continues to be really solid. A little more action than I was expecting in these episodes. Because we've talked about how like it is a mix of the chill slice and life hangout with your yokai buddies and the more intense sort of dangerous aspect of these are yokai who are, potentially dangerous monsters in the wrong context. And like in episode 3, we get a little bit of Jiro's backstory. Jiro being the like Tengu Crow Man guy, and he has apparently been cursed by this like snake spirit that they end up having to like fight at the end, and all the yokai have to, our main yokai buddies have to come together, and like none of them are really like built for combat, let's say, but they use their abilities to kind of deal with the situation.
I don't know, that dude was casting Call Lightning like
that guy, yes,
every turn.
The Tengu, the Tengu are able to fight, but like the rest of them are not. Like, I mean, it was kind of cool with like Buchio, who's like the cat, one of the main characters,
the Nekomata.
He gets like apparently you can just get jumped randomly by a yokai walking in the streets. Like it's pretty dangerous, actually.
Just like real life, then.
There's sort of an interesting angle of this show. Maybe some of it is also like it works because of the small town vibe, where it's like some yokai are your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers, and some yokai are feral animals, basically, that need to be handled by professionals. Essentially,
they get jumped by like it's like a manticore or a Nue,
Nue, the monkey with the snake tail, right?
Yeah. And like Buchio, he's a Nekomata and he's learning how to like shapeshift, and he like picks up a stick and then shapeshifts into like a
an archer,
samurai archer guy, and he can't do anything but just to scare him off, right? So
has the umbrella that hops shown up?
Not yet, but I think they will almost certainly.
No, what about the dude with an eyeball in his asshole?
Not quite. Not quite. But yeah, I think it's the kind of interesting. Well, also I'm curious if the show's going to keep going in this direction, because yes, episode 3 is sort of a surprise shift in tone and subject matter, but like also the conflict is resolved by the end of that episode, or at least that conflict is resolved.
And so going into episode 4, it's a little more lighthearted. They still have like that one random monster shows up in the school, and they have to like fight the monster. Yeah,
right. The overarching like maybe like B plot of this is that like it feels like tears in reality are beginning to open up, and like yokai are falling through them, and there's like a full-on ass, like, I mean, episode 4, okay, I take that back, because episode 4 does end with some fucking like nerve, like military base, like surveying the tears in reality and being like, the latest one appeared in this small Japanese town, and I'm like,
soon we're due for a double event.
And
this sounds not what I was expecting.
Well, that's the thing, though. The thing that you were expecting is still there, because the other part, the other major part of that episode is Buchio gets a driver's license.
Is Piccolo there?
So like,
no, but a car man is
always there in my heart.
So I think that might be my favorite thing that has happened so far is the car man, because I was like, he shows up in the OP, so I know he was coming, right? But I was like, how are they? What is that even supposed to be? Is it supposed? Are they going to go the Tsukumogami route? That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And yes, which opens up like a huge number of possibilities. But for anybody that doesn't know, like the concept of the Tsukumogami is like an inanimate object if it's used for a certain period of time, and it can like gain its own sentience or whatever, right?
Right.
That's the very, very broad idea. So in their interpretation of it, this guy is an old Volkswagen that they call Wagon Kun, and he's normally just a car, but then he can like transform into a guy that has a tiny yellow Volkswagen as a head.
Also, it truly in like the absolute most like Japanese possible like turn of events, Wagon Kun is here to get his driver's license because now that he is a sentient being, he cannot drive in his car form legally.
Yes, even though he is literally the car, he still has to get a.
And he
also because he was a Volkswagen, he's a German car. And
of course,
he does not have Japanese citizenship.
He had needed to apply for Japanese citizenship.
They don't have fucking like you've lived here for however many decades.
Naturalization.
Yeah. Technically, he wasn't living.
Soil, man. Blood or soil.
Technically, he wasn't living up until he became a Sukumogami.
To that one manga by the Nobunaga and mangaka where the girl has a gun. That's originally in 1911, and therefore it's a Sukumogami.
They seem to like that concept, huh? But
yeah, I mean, so the thing about like the latest episode, right, is that it almost feels like it's the return to form. Everyone's chilling out again. Buchio goes to the big city to meet the Demon King.
Yes, who's like he's like a hot celebrity guy.
Yeah, like a media mogul, basically.
He can turn into, yes.
And they kind of start getting to this thing of, like, because basically Buchio meets multiple beings higher up on the ladder of yokai hierarchy, if that makes sense. Like, he meets the Demon King, who's like, hey, cat kid, you want to work for me? It's good working,
So, we have, like, traditional yokai. Is the Demon King just, like, a devil, like a Western devil? Like, what does the Demon King look like?
We never see his true form, other than
he has a devil Kazuya like third eye that opens up on his forehead.
Sure.
But most of the time, he just looks like a normal dude.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Could it be that humans are the real demons?
No. Mom, why is there a mirror at the zoo? Go ahead. Sorry.
And then later in the episode, Buchio meets, a dragon god, a river dragon god who, she makes a brief appearance to like basically like meet with like one of the old Tengu that are like acquaintances or whatever, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, you're the new like Nekomata, right? Hey, by the way, don't trust demon kings. All right, I'll see you later."
Don't trust the Demon King.
Solid life advice.
But then, then he calls her his assistant, who's also a Nekomata, and it's like, well, not all Demon Kings are bad, right? Everybody's.
I've seen enough isekai.
I guess it's more like the nuance of it that the show is trying to like present to you is like. At least I think what the show is trying to communicate is that people have their varying different circumstances, and that like. People have multiple faces, and that the face that they decide to show you is in some ways informed by the face you decide to show them. Yeah. And so, like, the dragon goddess was likely not lying when she said, don't trust demon kings, but also, we have, at least in universe in this show, people who have, largely benefited from their time, working for the Demon King, right?
Yeah.
So it's like people are it's the classic people are multifaceted kind of thing. And it's hard to say where this goes because again, it's like the thing about this show is like again, it continues to be very charming, but you have the weird like dark realm subplot. You got Buchio trying to figure out what he wants to do as a Nekomata.
You got the little girl who's wants to be a priestess. They keep stumbling into curses and things.
Sounds like the major problem here is going to be like wrapping all of this stuff together.
Yeah, there is a lot going on, and it's not quite connecting. I guess it's interesting with this show because like I don't really have anything bad to say about it, but I feel like something is missing, like that's keeping it from like going from a very good show to like something that's like really great, and I don't quite know what it is yet. I haven't been able to put my finger on it.
Perhaps a lack of narrative intent. It sounds a little scattergun, to be honest.
I mean, there is a driving plot. I guess.
I mean, there's sort of like a foundation of like I would say Buchio, the Nekomata, and the little girl that's his part of his family are sort of like the dual main characters. I would probably broadly say that, with the, Buchio's story being kind of like the window into the world building of, what the modern world looks like with yokai in it, and his, sort of trying to find his, place in all of this. Yeah. And then the girl is kind of like the more underlying kind of dangerous part of the plot, I guess, with the other yokai forces that are maybe not so friendly lurking in the background. And you kind of have that, but then, I don't know, a lot of it is too just like, hey, I want to show you this neat idea I've had on how a, Tsukumogami car would work in modern Japan, right? Like, which is fun. Like, I enjoy that. It's just, I don't know.
It's all quite charming, but yes, there is like
something that's needs not kind of pulling it all together or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But again, like, I don't really have anything. I don't even know if that's really a bad thing. It's just like, it's something feels like it's missing, but yeah, I'm still enjoying it very much regardless. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you feel how you feel about that, G, but
I mean, I'm still into it. Like, I have definitely enjoyed the slice of life elements, and like, there is like, again, the show seems to understand to dangle just enough of this like weird conspiracy angle off to the side that it's like, yeah, I'm enjoying the slice of life, and then I'm looking over there being like, huh, I wonder when that's gonna come up.
Yeah, and like, are they gonna like shift over to that? Are we going to have some kind of like yokai war or something later?
Yeah, yokai second impact or something.
Do we know how long this show is?
Oh,
I haven't looked that up.
Because probably a core. I would not.
Right, because I was going to say like fun hijinks while kind of drip feeding the main plot tends to be a thing which works well in a longer show, but.
Yeah,
if it's only going to be 12 episodes, it's impossible to say, but we'll have to see if maybe they should have got down.
I don't suspect that there will be any major shifts, but I also could not rule that out at this stage.
Right.
So we'll see. It's still a good show. I think people should watch it.
I believe the manga is still ongoing.
Okay.
So yeah, I still think, like I said before.
No, I take that back. Manga's done.
Oh, well.
4 volumes.
It's not very long either.
Okay. That's not much at all.
Yeah. That might be... will this show adapt the whole manga then?
I don't know.
I don't see how it couldn't if it's only 4 volumes.
4 volumes was a monthly. Like,
yeah.
So, no, you could fit that into...
Yeah, no, you could fit that.
Yeah,
I mean...
into one core, rather, yeah.
Like, monthly or not, a tankobon is a tankobon, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Huh. Okay.
Well, I guess we'll see.
See what happens. Again, though, like I want to emphasize, it's a good show. I think people should watch it.
Definitely one of the things I would actually be fine sticking with this season.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Blue Archive G. How is that going?
Blue Archive. Did the bunny girls show up?
You're gonna be asking that every week for like, I'm gonna be real, like 2 years. If
man knows what he likes,
but no,
where's Saori?
Not yet. Saori is
what about Rio?
Rio would probably be season 2.
I don't know anything about Blue Archive other than tags I've seen.
You've seen some things.
Saori would probably be like season 3. I don't think Aria's Academy is showing up for a bit, but anyways, yeah, Blue Archive. Yeah, it just, I mean, I don't know whether it just continues to be like a competent, like average to competent adaptation of the plot events of Blue Archive. I mean,
it reminds me that they announced a more Arknights anime recently.
They sure did, and I hate it because I saw
is Senshi going to be there?
I was going to say, is this coinciding with the announcement of Senshi for Arknight? A sentence which sounds like a shit post, but absolutely is true.
Arknights gets the most like manic crossovers. I swear to God.
Was it Arknights that crossed over with Valhalla? Or no, that was Girls Frontline.
That was Girls Frontline.
The Grand Blue ones have been pretty wild as well.
Well, Grand Blue does everything. Grand Blue almost does.
Grand Blue is a shotgun. Anyway, so Blue Archive.
So yeah, they're just adapting the plot of like the main story, right? So it's like it's introducing the girls of the Abydos Academy. I forgot. It's really funny as someone who has now like been playing that game for a little bit. I forgot that like the plot line early on is that one of the girls gets kidnapped. They gets hired by like
oh no,
gets hired by the loan shark company they're in debt to. Decides to kidnap one of the girls, and
okay.
I forgot
Does she get
that
turned?
like no, it's like okay, so it's like in this version of the story, it's just kind of a goofy. Oh no, she's gotten kidnapped by some Doranjo gang baddies, and it's up to the rest of the girls with the help of Sensei to find and save her, and they all live happily ever after. And I forgot that like later in the Blue Archive main story, where they reveal that like the world of Blue Archive that you are playing is a rebooted timeline with you, the player character, inserted into it.
Did they do a fucking Final Fantasy 14 or Realm Reborn shit?
Yeah, and that you see glimpses of the version of the world that existed before Sensei's arrival. And I forgot that part of the reveal there is that this goofy what-off plot about one of the girls of Abydos Academy getting kidnapped is like one of the inciting events in the other timeline of the beginning of the bad future.
Okay.
Anyways, just a funny thing to see here because I'm reliving these like at the moment completely trivial plot points early in the story.
I'm not quite understand. So they didn't reboot the game in real life. Right?
No, they did not. I'm talking about
the story of the game is that you have arrived and you will thus avert the bad future.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Basically. Anyways,
it's 12 monkeys, basically.
That stuff doesn't really matter at this point. Episode 3. Good news, Gel. Problem Solver 86 shows up, and they do their Problem Solver 86 stuff, which is be a big bunch of dipshit gangsters, I guess.
Nice.
Like
yo.
Imagine the Doranjo gang, but it's all waifus, and they're all really, really stupid.
Excuse me, the Doranjo gang is already all waifus, thank you.
Yes, all of them.
Tonzura and Boyaki are top waifus.
Yes. And, it's charming enough, right? Like, I mean, it's charming enough because it's Problem Solver 86. Aru is a treasure. Of course, they do what
Aru was the one Gel was waiting for.
Yes,
is that correct?
That's the one. Yes, that is the correct one I was waiting for. Yes.
Aru does the Aru face, and everybody claps.
What is the Aru face?
I cannot describe it here.
Yeah.
But Aru's base.
I'm gonna Google it.
Aru as a character in Blue Archive presents herself as the leader of a dangerous outlaw.
This is
gang.
this is basically the Anya face.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and like she presents herself as this like kind of hard-boiled, like dangerous gangster, but like secretly she's a big dumb nerd and like. Well, yeah, so that's her standard like appearance that you just posted in the Discord. Like that's.
I assume this is the Aru face.
No, this is not.
Oh,
the
it's
Aru
not.
face.
Okay,
that is Aru base form level 1.
My
That's
goodness.
just her normal art. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but like deep down, she's like a big dork who like gets flustered really easily, and so like her internal monologue.
Is it this one where she's going like ah?
Yes, that one, and so. Yeah, there's the one.
It's a little bit of a I'm a genius, oh no energy.
Yes,
with her.
That
yes.
is
Shouts to Rekongisa.
Yes, very I'm a genius, oh no energy to this girl.
I refuse to believe that anything could have that amount of terrible, horrible energy.
A little bit, just a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. So that made her an early standout in the game, is to my understanding. But so she's
she
there.
Was hard carrying my teams in the early days as well.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Gel, would you believe me? I said even now she is like core to every red damage raid in the game still.
Hell yeah.
Is she the Lancer of Blue Archive? The reliable standby sticks around way longer than she should.
My old Boomer Arknights team could still clear the red raids at least.
Yeah. No, just all right. Bring out Aru one more time. I think she's finally getting power crept by a release that hasn't made it to global yet. But like, 2024 will probably be the last year of our
So how's the anime of how's Blue Archive the animation?
I don't know. This is why I'm talking about the game. I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a competent adaptation. It's fine. Like there's some there are occasionally a couple of bits of like nice animation. Again, much more competent than the Girls Frontline like adaptation. Like there's some occasional legit production value here.
I have a genuine question.
Okay.
How much do they lean into the fan servicey part of it? Because
I would say not. I mean, other than the fact that it's the part of the game it's the part of the story where it's a gacha, so every character is a teenage girl. Yeah. But like, I would not say it's like overly lecherous, if that's what you mean. Sure. Like, it's not really doing that.
I would give on the horny gacha game scale, I would give Blue Archive like a 6 to 7.
I think
so you're saying a 3 out of 5.
Well, okay. Here's the problem: because the
3.5 out of 5.
No, you gotta pick a 3 or a 4. You can't.
I feel like as well, like
that's why I went to 1 out of 10.
I feel like every gacha game also needs like separate ratings for the game and everything surrounding the game.
Yes, because like the thing I would say about Blue Archive is that like, at the lowest end of the scale, it's just girls who look like they should appear in a KyoAni anime.
But I've seen some of the other
some of the hhigher end one. Yeah, I'm saying on average. Like if Azure Lane is like a 9, and
is Azure Lane that horny?
Yes.
Where's FGO?
FGO is like
probably kind of a. Yeah, probably kind of around Blue Archive in the sense that like some of the designs are pretty normal, and then some of the designs are like
Nikkei.
Oh, Nikkei's
way higher.
Nikkei's like an 11.
Nikkei moved the gacha horny Overton window like so far to the right. I mean, here's the thing: Blue Archive probably got. Here's the thing: with the bunny girls, Blue Archive was for many years accused of being the horniest gacha for years, and then Nikkei arrived, and everybody went, "Oh, never mind, it could be so much worse."
The only thing I will say is that while I was in Japan, I spent some time in some branches of Melon Books, and I saw a lot of things about Blue Archive.
That's not the game's fault.
Was there any fate there?
A tiny little bit.
Oh no!
Shelves and shelves of shit. Of course, there was a fight.
So look, Fable used to be dominant at Comic Con. No, not anymore.
Like there were plenty of shows that, like, oh, this entire aisle is just this shit. Like,
man.
Yeah.
See, now if you're like me, you're waiting for there's like the couple of creators who do stuff that's still like Fate Stay Night, Fate Hala Interaction based, and not Fate Grow based.
There was definitely some of that.
Yeah.
Shouts Crazy Clover Club.
In there.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
anyways, the last thing I'll say about Blue Archive is, how I said like the OP was like the best part of the anime like last time.
Yeah,
right.
It's a cool OP. I looked it up.
Throw the ED in there too. It's a very charming ED. The ED is kind of framed as like almost like phone or handy cam footage of just the girls hanging out in town, like doing various things like shopping or going to cafes.
Is this like how the first episode of Idolmaster had like a cool mockumentary like vibe, and
not
then
quite there.
Like
it's
immediately. Okay,
it's not quite like you can see the UI of the camera. It's more just the vibe. It's like very much like
hang attitude.
Hang out.
I feel like that's a very classic anime ending thing, like to show like your cast of whatever having a fun hangout time.
And like the song is like pretty catchy too. I don't know the artist, but I was like, damn, this is kind of a bop. But so I guess again, gacha adaptations continue to be at their best in 2 to 3 minute snippets, and not anything longer than 20 minutes.
Yeah, just enough to make you remember. Oh, I remember that part, or I like that game. Yeah. All right.
God.
Let's
shelves. I'm telling you, shelves.
Let's move on. You guys are still watching, or at least since last time.
Number 8. I've not seen the most recent episode.
Okay.
So the thing about Kaiju number 8, I have seen many people not within our spheres talk about how much they love Kaiju number 8.
Of course.
They're obsessed with Kaiju number 8. How it's they're huge fans, how it's the coolest thing they've seen. Yeah. It's just their favorite thing right now. And I watched the second episode and I'm like, they're sure doing a stupid joke about how he's pissing out of his nipples.
Okay, I'm all in.
Like,
so I would say, like, to basically use Iro's entire like rant there as a jumping point. You're completely right. Like, the problem I think with Kaiju number 8 is, like, here's the thing. I think there are legitimately some great parts early on in that story. I think, like many shonen, it starts strong. Clearly, the author put his best ideas early on. But there's also this constant feeling that, like, of a total mismatch in Kaiju number 8. Because Kaiju number 8 starts off about a protagonist who is 32 years old, is working a day job.
Yep.
A very interesting day job. We mentioned it last time, but still has dreams of becoming, the Seigi no Mikata, all that shit, right? And then he becomes the titular Kaiju number 8, right? He gets his cool Guyver biofreak powers. And the jokes are really, really childish.
If a Shonen Jump adaptation makes me remember, 8-year-olds read this magazine. I understand, I get it, but I also go, I'm supposed to be as old as this protagonist. Why are they telling me jokes for 8-year-olds?
And that's not a sin unto itself,
right?
Again,
because it is
young boys, right? Like
it's the audience, right?
Yeah. Right.
I get it.
I mean, you guys regularly watch shows for...
Look, yes, I watch Tokusatsu, which is for even younger children than
I think what we're more getting at is that we have watched other shonen published in the same magazine with much better jokes. I mean, before it fell off, I thought Jujutsu Kaisen had a great sense of humor, right? I thought a lot of its jokes were really solid, So, Kaiju number 8 doing, literally, piss and fart jokes is, right. I mean, we were just talking about Spy Family.
Yeah. The God of Poop. It's like, okay, all right.
You'll never go broke playing to the cheap seats.
It's true.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me, this is fundamentally for kids, even if, in that same episode... and this is the part where, occasionally Kaiju number 8, it's I can't in good conscience tell Iro to, stick with me on this one, because it's just, it isn't justifying it. Here, Iro, I downloaded the 3rd episode, and I scrolled through it real quick, and it's
I did download it.
It's like the Academy exam arc, and it's
baby.
Of course.
It's pretty bad. It's
I can handle a decent Academy exam arc, like My Hero Academia, where he can't do anything. He does everything at human levels, and then has to break his finger to throw the ball. But guess what?
He still punches that. He still punches that robot at the end of that entrance.
Yeah.
I mean, that was interesting because our main character was so heavily restricted in what he could do. It was clever.
Yeah, but I guess the problem is with Kaiju number 8 is so it introduces that he has these crazy cool kaiju biofreak powers. The thing I want to bring up real quick is so at the end of episode 2, in that same episode where we're just complaining about how bad the jokes are, there's also still that when I say total mismatch, there's a bit of that kind of real, kind of fun, gritty edge to it where, a kaiju is attacking the town and it's about to kill a little girl, and the main character Kafka goes kaiju mode, and he punches this kaiju so hard it's full on Fist of the North Star. Yeah. This thing disintegrates into gore and viscera. It's like the end of a Bloodborne boss fight. It rains blood for 10 seconds straight. Organs and intestines are just splayed against the architecture in every direction.
Fist of the North Star, also a manga aimed at
also Shonen Jump manga.
Also aimed at children.
So, Barefoot again, Shonen Jump.
Okay, look, we get into what Shonen Jump has published before. Sure. But and so it's that weird thing of it occasionally does know how to be very cool in the way that only shonen can be, but you got to go through a lot of trash to get there.
Right. Haughty rich girl twin-tailed bitch showed up.
Yeah.
In episode 2, and I'm just I get it. I know.
I feel like every shonen is what is the ratio of cringe bad to cringe good.
And it just changes. Always just changes over time, right?
Right, but you know what I mean, right? There's even the stuff we like about shonen tends to be goofy and cliched, but
right,
there's a presentation and context matters in this case.
Definitely,
Even if everybody's singing the same tune.
I'm not going to say I have a sommelier's taste for shonen anime. However, I will say I've watched a fair amount of shonen anime, and Kaiju number 8, to me specifically, is not doing a lot to endear me to it. And maybe it would later, but so far, I'm not terribly enthused. And it
doesn't sound bad. It just sounds kind of basic, honestly.
I think that's kind of what it is, and it's that kind of reminder that, like, I mean, I think like a lot of shonen, especially now, like, I think the popularity is very much predicated on the fact that shonen gets really good anime adaptations.
I mean, also, like, it cannot be understated. Manga Plus, Viz Media, and Shueisha's manga platform that's just cheap and easily accessible, and everyone reads it.
Yeah,
and it's like we are kind of a different age where we had to find the aggregator sites,
right,
or whatnot, or follow the scanlators who did stuff, and like, we had to track that shit down. And what it is for most people, I don't necessarily mean normies, but, like, for most people is, like, this specific section of this genre, this specific type of anime and manga exists in the free and easily accessible zone, and so that's what everybody reads.
Yes.
Right. And so it's like, they're like, oh yeah, haven't you seen this new manga? And it's inevitably always a Manga Plus, Viz Media, Shueisha joint.
Right. And like you were saying how shonen tends to get the best anime adaptations. That's because it's where the money is, right?
Yep.
Yes, and so that's what I'm getting at, right? Is, like, the thing about something like Kaiju number 8, right, is, like, this thing is only even, like, rating on this podcast, even being talked about in the first place, because of an expectation that, like, well, even if the plot's not that good, it is cool when he punches a monster into a million pieces, right? And the problem, as we said, is the ratio of, like, well, how often is he punching a monster into a million pieces versus these, like, really... And again, here's the thing. I don't think any of us here are above piss and fart humor, but it's like,
absolutely
execution matters.
Yes. Yep. There's a time and place.
We demand quality piss and fart humor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
One other thing about Kaiju number 8, its OP is some fucking Netflix prestige TV bullshit. Swirling CG Winamp visualizers.
Okay, you're talking about the visuals. Okay.
I was going to say, isn't the song by Western Art?
The song's by, like, what, Youngblood?
Featuring Imagine Dragons.
Oh my god.
Well, whatever. Like, I think the people
you guys didn't know this.
I think the people who have
being stabbed repeatedly in the heart.
I think the people who have said, like, y'all are Shin Imagine Dragons, but you've been listening to the Japanese equivalent of Imagine Dragons for years.
Yeah, I don't really like them either, but that's me.
I think they have I think that's a totally salient point. I think the visuals is opening. I'm not interested whatsoever.
No, they're very bad. It's a very bad OP.
Why even have a shonen anime opening if you don't have the whole cast attacking the sky,
fighting the sky,
using every named character uses every named attack?
Oh man.
Yeah. Is it worse than what was one of the recent ones?
Trigun Maximum.
Trigun, yeah.
Or not Trigun Maximum. Forgive me. Trigun Stampede. Trigun Maximum is the name of the manga, which is good.
Now that's a manga you should read. But,
no, didn't Trigun Stampede have the Netflix prestige opening?
Yeah. It wasn't good.
It was also bad. Yep.
Oh man, speaking of, again, it's actually a pretty decent OP, but the Sandland OP also does the check out our sand simulation.
Ooh, sand, yeah.
What
is this Shogun? Like,
yeah. But no, Kaiju number 8. It's if it were not for, like, its admittedly, like, pretty solid production values and occasional, like, highlights, like,
I
don't think it would even rate. And honestly, like,
you guys are done.
I don't know, Eero. Like, if they get to, like, a good episode, maybe I'll pull that up and be like,
sure. I trust you to tell me to, like, call me up and tell me, hey, okay, we can skip 3, 4, 5. But
look,
6.
I'm just saying that when his arm turns into a biofreak Guyver pile bundler,
sure.
it's pretty fucking
hook me up when that happens.
Just
Until
might not
then, I
happen
don't give
for
a shit.
episodes. Yeah.
All right.
More power to you all if you enjoy Kaiju number 8.
I'm sure Kaiju number 8 will be fine.
You're right.
Without us. Yeah.
It doesn't need us.
You're right.
All right. Did you guys actually watch more Train to the End of the World?
Not really.
list.
No.
3 episodes. We did the 3-episode rule.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think we only talked about the first episode last
First
night?
2 episodes, I think.
First 2, I think.
Did anything wild happen worth talking about, or?
So episode 3 does kind of make good on the every town is gonna be kind of weird and have something going on, and turns out the things that are happening are not that interesting. So they go to the town, and everybody has a mushroom on their head, and surprise, surprise, they've been parasitized by fungus, and they're gonna try to parasitize the rest of the girls with their fungus. And
now they might be really into Smash Brothers.
and it's trying to do the but you see, this apocalypse is also a social commentary, because the reveal at the end is that the villagers of this town consented to being taken over by the hive mind fungus because
it lets them live in euphoria for 2 years.
Yes, it's easier to live a bliss-free life than endure the harshness of living in a post-7G world.
Yep.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
I don't know. It doesn't really hit because, they're like, oh, but you see, we consented to it. Doesn't that make you rethink your expectations? It's like, no, because you tried to hold the other girls down and put a mushroom in their skulls. So
you guys said they talk like Nisio Eisen characters, and that sounds like a Nisio Eisen plot.
So it's also it's not good. It's not.
I'm sure plenty of people like Nisio Eisen.
I do
not like.
Okay, look, I'll admit,
people are bad people.
I'll admit, and yes, I am a bad person. I will only watch a Nisio Eisen show if it is animated by Shaft and directed by Shimbo, and that's it. But that doesn't happen anymore.
I've heard that Katanagatari is good. I've not watched Katanagatari.
I haven't watched any of those in years, but yes. Other than that, though, no, I don't want any part of that.
So yeah, it doesn't.
You guys
work,
done with this one too?
Yeah, if that's the peak
so.
of what they can show. I heard that episode 4 apparently does go in some really odd directions, but I could not really bring myself to pay attention. I just saw screenshots of they're the train is going through a forest of trees, and then the trees increasingly grow more and more human, and it kind of looks legitimately kind of sinister in a wow, creepy visuals way. But
right,
I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I saw a post that was like, wow, it's like dude, did you realize that they're following the map that the guy gave them in episode 2? Whoa. And I was just like, come on.
Is that shocking?
No, not to me.
Yeah. Huh.
I'm just going to point out that they, in Digimon Ghost Game, they had phones with 8G, and therefore...
Whoa. Damn.
That's
how they had Digimon,
So we just got to survive 7G. If we make it to 8G, then we're all good again.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah. Look, more power to them.
Yeah.
I am not terribly interested in watching more.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that will do it for the list. I'll leave everybody with one more note. Rolling Thunder came out in Japan in 1986. I got it right on my first guess. I would have been about 5 years old around then.
Damn.
Hell yeah.
There you go. That's a very old game.
Is it a classic?
I have not. There were better games released in the year of 1986.
I have not thought about Rolling Thunder if it came out 38 years ago or whatever. I probably have not.
Other 1986 video games. Ikari Warriors.
That's Ikari Warriors already better.
All right,
Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Well, Ikari Warriors is it's top down, but it's in kind of the same neighborhood. I put that in the same
Metroid.
Breath. Yeah. So
The Legend of Zelda.
Jesus.
I was going to say
Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels.
I was gonna say if Rolling Thunder came out 38 years ago, I haven't thought about it in at least 30. So you know,
I mean, like when Streets of Rage came out, where people are like, "Wow, it's a Rolling Thunder like" or something. I don't know. Like,
no, they were. It's a Final Fight like.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder's not even like you have a gun, right? Like it's.
Oh, so then when Contra came out, my bad. When Contra came out, where people are like, "Wow, it's a Rolling Thunder like."
Yeah.
No, they were like, "Hey, that's the Commando poster." No, it's not Commando.
I mean, according to Wikipedia, people view Rolling Thunder as a predecessor to Time Crisis.
What?
Really?
Because it's a cover shooter. Like,
is it?
So
they claim.
I don't know about that one, boss. Anyway,
weirdly, I was reading about Time Crisis just before we started recording this podcast.
Cool game.
Yeah, Yoko Taro's Time Crisis 2.
Jell, get us out of here.
All right, we're cutting it off.
Save us.
Housekeeping. Check us out at theglorioblog.com. Follow us on co-host at Glorio. You can follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course YouTube, where you can comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all those things. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. And we'll catch you next time.
What's worse, Drake or Imagine Dragons?